It's round 4, Baby Blacephalon up against MewMew Welder. Welcome back, everyone, to more from the Sableyes. We're back again with Jordan. How are we doing, Jordan?
I'm doing well. I'm very excited to see these two players specifically play against each other. There's a bit of history in this tournament already from some previous videos we've put up, and now we get to see these two come up against each other.
Yeah, exactly. Blake, obviously, historically very negative in that game that we commentated that Sam was in. So now we get to be just as negative about Blake, which I'm excited about. Blake's playing Baby Blacephalon on the left, and Sam, of course, playing with MewMew Welder, on the right hand side.
Yeah, the classic Mewtwo deck. Welder's still good. Like, it didn't really lose anything. Mewtwo Malamar kind of came out of nowhere and seems to be the more preferred build in most players' eyes, but Welder is still a good card. Like, even though you can't use it first turn, I don't think Mewtwo really got too negatively impacted, but this is a matchup that Mewtwo Welder in the past used to struggle with. He used to have to kind of try and win against Blacephalon with the Pidgeotto strategy by using Espeon Deoxys as GX attack to take a bunch of knockouts, but that strategy doesn't really work as well against this new Jirachi Blacephalon build, and even worse, I don't believe that most Mewtwo Welder lists, including Sam, even play the Espeon Deoxys at all anymore, so he's going to have to come up with a new strategy to win this matchup.
You know, the good thing for Sam is that there are going to be more two-prize Pokemon on Blake's bench. The Zacian V there obviously being used to draw some extra cards. Could be a potential target, but when it comes down to it, there's not a huge amount more that Sam can do other than just hope that he doesn't have to discard Gusts like he did there, and hope that he draws relatively well.
Yeah, it's already looking pretty grim. I don't see a supporter card. I do see a quick ball, so he can find himself a Mewtwo and start putting energy onto it, but he has already used the Dede change, so we're not going to be seeing a Welder from Sam this turn, and we're not going to be seeing a knockout from Sam, which is a pretty big deal because he really does need to start getting ahead and making sure he's able to at least get a little bit of an advantage before Blake starts taking knockouts. Sam intelligently retreating into the Dene to keep that Latios alive, although I don't actually think that the Latios is worth preserving in this matchup. I feel like I would have maybe left the Latios in the active because it has free retreat and is just as easy to knock out as the Dene, but that's not really a huge priority. We're probably just going to see Blake maybe just using this turn to Intrepid Sword anyway if he doesn't get everything he needs to take the knockout.
Yeah, exactly. Blake obviously requires a lot of cards here to get going. One of them is Welder, so he'd love to see that off of this Jirachi, but he doesn't get it. He's got a switch here, so we might be seeing an Intrepid Sword from Blake, and he'll fill his hand up with even more cards. Attachment will go down on the Baby Blacephalon there, but it looks like Blake is ready to go. As soon as he can attack, he will be taking some big knockouts, and Sam is going to be punished for that promotion. He's going to now need to find a way to get that Dedenne out of the active. And geez, that was a very aggressive dice roll from Blake. Good grief.
Well, I imagine that he's probably got a pretty good chance of finding a way out of it. He's got the Dedenne in his hand that we saw from last time, but we do actually see Sam having to invest in energy into the active position. He's just going to go ahead and Cherish Ball for that Solgaleo. So I imagine what we're going to see from Sam here is a Dedenne change, discarding the Solgaleo and the Fire Energies, and hoping to pull off the Welder to maybe attack with that Turbo Strike this turn. But yeah, that attachment to the Dedenne deck could actually cost Sam pretty big here, because now he actually has to Welder to the Mewtwo rather than just attaching to it.
Well, he at least managed to find the Welder there, which was good. Sorry, I'm just having a coughing fit off to the side here. Forgot to mute my microphone. Okay. Ugh. But hey, Sam's got himself in a position here where he can attack. There's energy in the discard, so he'll be able to attack with Solgaleo GX, and he's got a Mewtwo as well in his hand if he chooses to use it. No, he's actually going to go for the Heat Train here, which is an interesting inclusion that he's got in this list, and it could potentially be a card that he could use to try and swing the prize trade a little bit, try and get Blake to invest more energy than he's comfortable with.
Yeah, that's pretty good actually. I mean, Heat Train does just a flat 130 damage for 3 energy, which is all you really need to do against this Baby Blacephalon deck. Is just a fairly cheap way to do 120 damage plus. And Heat Train does serve that purpose pretty well without giving Blake a very streamlined mapping of his 6 prizes, rather than just knocking out 2 Mewtwo tag teams, he now might have to knock out Mewtwo, Heatran, and then either burst or take another knockout on something else. But Blake's not messing around. He's just like, yep, I'm just going to break Blacephalon. I'm going to discard 6 energy. I'm going to take 3 prizes, and good luck.
Yeah, exactly. He's done all that he needs to do. Sam has the option here to reset Stamp, which is pretty strong. And he also has a Welder to attach an energy to this Heatran, which is also good. Means he'll be able to draw some more cards. And hopefully, for his sake, he'll be able to slow Blake down a little bit here. Blake will be able to get into a Jirachi, though. Blake's just grabbed himself access to 5 energy, which seems fair. He's got a Giant Hearth and a Fire Crystal in hand. The key thing for Sam is that he's going to be taking a knockout here. The Blacephalon on the bench does not have energy attached, so Blake will need to find a Welder to get attacking here.
Yeah, he's got the Fire Crystal and Giant Hearth, so if he does find the Welder, he's easily going to have access to those Fire Energy. But the problem here is that Sam still needs to take 4 knockouts, or at least 3 knockouts, and then maybe gust that Zacian to take the last 2. So the question is, like, how badly does Blake have to draw for Sam to stay in this game? We know that he's got at least 1 Stellar Wish and an Intrepid Sword every turn for the rest of the game, as long as that Zacian stays alive. Luckily, we do see the Welder whiff off of that Stellar Wish, so he's certainly not going to be taking the knockout this turn, it looks like. But, I mean, he doesn't need to take the knockout this turn. He can do almost nothing for the next couple turns, then just find one good turn where he's able to take a knockout, and then just burst the game if Sam hasn't got down to his last prize card. So it looks like he's just happy to sacrifice that Mew in the active, go for Intrepid Sword, and even if he gets reset stamped here, that Mew does have the Lucky Egg attached to it. So no matter what, Blake's going to have a hand to play with next turn, most likely.
He certainly is, and he got the Welder off of the Intrepid Sword, so he's going to be attacking next turn. Sam now needs to find a way to deal with it. Obviously, his priority would be to knock out the Blacephalon. If he could do that, that would be almost perfect, but there's no real way for him to guarantee that that happens. He can't play the Dene because there's no bench space, and his only real draw is Welder, so he'd need to get incredibly lucky off of a Welder to find 2 custom catches.
And the other problem is that I feel like even if he gets those custom catches, he's probably going to be better off just targeting down that Zacian V and just letting the Blacephalon die, because we know that he's got at least 1 custom catcher in the discard pile already, so if he does get Gust, it's going to be his last one. And I don't think he's going to be able to win this game by taking 4 knockouts. I think his only way to win is take 3 knockouts and then hope that Blake misses for a turn.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at Sam struggling to pick the last card up off of the table there. That was very unprofessional of me. I'm sorry, Sam.
Oh, he got there. We're continuing. We're doing fine. We see the Lysander Lev's coming out, so that's actually one of the better cards that Sam could have picked up here. He's going to be able to take out that Mew without refreshing Blake's hand, but I mean, I think he's already got the cards he needed in hand anyway, so would have probably needed a reset stamp to go along with that Lysander Labs.
Yeah, exactly, and he doesn't even need to worry about promoting the Jirachi here because he's got his own stadium to replace the labs. He can now give himself more energy, and he can also give himself a Stellar Wish as well, using the Ordinary Rod to shuffle in 2 Pokemon and 2 energy. And pretty much every other card that he has in his hand at the moment is designed to grab more energy, so that's a pretty good place to be in if you're Blake. All that he needs to do is make sure that the sequencing is correct, and he'll be all good to take 2 prizes. Just needs to find the Blacephalon GX now to try and get the knockout. Grabbing the Island Challenge Amulet here, which is very interesting. I wonder why he's gone for that one.
Well, it's actually a really good play if he can actually find that Blacephalon GX, because what might happen here is if Blake does bench Blacephalon GX without the Island Challenge Amulet on it, then Sam could potentially custom capture that Blacephalon GX, take 2 prizes, remove Blake's easiest win condition from the board, and then all of a sudden Blake has to pull off a 6 energy knockout onto that Mewtwo in 1 turn or he loses the game. If he puts that Island Challenge Amulet onto Blacephalon, then even if it does get gusted and knocked out, Blake's going to have 2 turns to respond. So I think if he can find the Blacephalon, it might be worth benching. Usually I wouldn't bench it, but because he has that Island Challenge Amulet, it might be worth considering. But it's not a huge priority. He's got a whole bunch of cards in hand. He's got a Jirachi and a Zacian, so I think he's going to be happy to just settle for this knockout, go down to 1 prize, knowing that it's possible for Sam to win next turn.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing really that Sam can do about this. He's going to need to just take a knockout and hope that Blake doesn't have a way to either attack or to gust. And at the moment, Blake doesn't actually have that. He doesn't have a huge amount going for him in his hand at all at the moment, apart from the fact that he's got a couple of welders in there. If Sam is able to change the stadium, then we could be seeing Blake top-decking for the things he needs for game, but obviously that would require a little bit of luck on Sam's part. He's still a long, long way behind in this game.
It's actually not that far behind when you think about it, because let's assume that Sam's going for a reset stamp here, and if he finds the reset stamp and takes out this Blacephalon, we know that Sam still has those custom catches in his deck, so he's going to give Blake a one-turn clock to find that Blacephalon GX or a different way to take a prize card. And if he doesn't get it, then Sam can very easily just gust out that Zacian, knock it out with the Mewtwo. He hasn't used his GX attack, so he'd have plenty of easy options to take that knockout with something like a Flare Strike. But unfortunately, we don't see the reset stamp, so or the stadium replace. Blake's going to have access to... Oh, he's got no
fire energy. There's none left. Okay, so suddenly this game has turned around. He discarded, I think, a Fire Crystal last turn, so this could be a big, big deal for Blake. He could have put himself in a position now where he needs to get incredibly lucky here. Finds the Gust, but he doesn't have any fire energy in hand, so this is very worrying here. And he still hasn't come across that Blacephalon GX either.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, he doesn't have anything like a Quick Ball in his hand, so as of right now, he has no way to continue digging through his deck. He can't search for that Oricorio and use the Dancing Tribute ability to draw 3 cards. As far as I can tell, there's no way Blake's winning the game this turn, so is he promoting the Zacian?
He is.
Wait,
did Sam not take a prize?
Sam
didn't take a prize. Sam mustn't have taken... He was on 3, 100%, wasn't he?
I'm pretty sure he was.
Like, I mean, we'll be able to go back after we've recorded this video, but I'm 99% sure that we were talking about how Blake only... that Sam only needed to take a couple of prizes. So Sam might have just cost himself here. The fact that he's not drawn his prize card means that he's essentially just given Blake a free turn, which is...
You guys are watching this video, go back about 30 seconds and check to see how many prize cards Sam was on, because I think that he might have forgotten to take one, and if that was the case, maybe that's what they're discussing now, trying to figure out if he'd forgotten to take a prize last turn, because I'm pretty sure that he can just attach to the active and use something like a Flare Strike to just knock out this Zacian for the game. He's got the Cherish Ball, he just top deck, so if Zacian is in the deck, then... Sorry, if was that saying Zacian? If Reshi's in the deck...
Well, you can just attack with Charizard GX as well, right?
Yeah, Charizard GX is another option. There's a couple different Pokemon he can attack with using his GX attack to just one-hit KO this Zacian, take 2 prizes. Assuming he's only meant to have 2 prizes left, that could be the end of the game. But Sam forgetting to take a prize means that I think that might actually just be what costs it. He's actually gusting the Zacian to the bench.
Yeah, he's
That's not how I thought the gust was going to be used.
He's gusting up the Blacephalon. He's just interested in taking the knockout on that Pokemon, which is fair and reasonable, I suppose. But I mean, it only is valuable if you take a prize, Sam. You need to take prizes. But I think ultimately, if we're going to blame someone, it's Blake's fault. He should have picked that up. I think if we have to blame someone, it has to be Blake. Sam finally deciding that it's time to get rid of the Giant Hearth with the Marshadow that's been sitting on the bench there for a long, long time.
Yeah, that's a good point. He could have done that last time. I forgot about that.
Takes a prize this time, which is good.
Didn't matter because, obviously we know in hindsight that Blake didn't have any Fire Energy left, but had Blake had Fire Energy in deck, leaving that Giant Hearth there could have been a massive mistake from Sam the previous turn. The problem here is, though, Sam just used his last Gust, right? So even though he's gotten rid of Blake's only threat on the board, he's now 2 turns away from winning the game still.
Yeah, exactly.
And we still know that Blake just needs that 1 burst GX. He doesn't need the Baby Blacephalon to be able to win this game. He just needs to burst.
Yeah, exactly. That's all that needs to happen. So you'd think now that Blake's found some energy here, which is pretty strong. He doesn't have an attacker anymore, which is a bit upsetting, but he's going to be able to welder onto the Mew and draw himself 3 more cards.
Here's the quick ball. That will be the game.
Yep, that will be the game. Although you have to think that if Sam had just taken his prize, then he would have won. But
yeah, I'm not sure.
Really weird. I don't want to go back and look at it because it'll ruin the footage. But I feel like I'm 99% sure that he didn't take one.
We'll have to go back and watch this afterwards. You guys already know because you have the rewind button available.
We're freaking out over here because we're like, oh my god, Like, is it so early in the video that we could just stop and go back and look? Like, what do we do in a situation like this?
Well, we'll just have to find out eventually.
Yeah, we'll find out in about 20 minutes, won't we?
This happened in the past. It's like we can call the judge over and let them know that something was done incorrectly here. We just have to accept that there was potentially an error here. We could have been wrong. Like, maybe we just
maybe we saw the prizes. But hey, if we were right, then Sam would have won that game because he would have found the double custom to gust out the Zacian and then knocked it out. So
yeah, and also I'm pretty sure he had a way to do 230 damage. He had the Cherish Ball in hand. He could have easily grabbed Charizard or Reshizard or any of his Pokemon. I'm pretty sure he even had Macargo in the discard pile already.
Yep.
Which means he could have potentially just attached an energy and taken the knockout with that as well. So,
anyway,
very interesting.
Fresh game now. Let's ignore that one. We'll come back to that once we finish recording.
That's in the past.
This has been a big tournament for errors, though, Jordan. Like, this has been a real
sure
problem.
Is. Crazy to know that. I mean, even if we were incorrect about the number of prizes Sam had to take, it's still pretty impressive that Sam got to one prize away in this matchup. Like, this should theoretically be a pretty tough matchup, and Sam got really close to actually pulling it off there. So, if he can do a pretty similar game plan again, it looks like he's already prioritizing that Mewtwo into Heatran strategy. Obviously, it does mean that Blake can just burst the game, but that takes an extra turn. That one turn could be what Sam needs to take his final prize cards.
Certainly could be. It looks like Sam opting to discard a Dedenne here in order to put the Giant Hearth in play, get that Solgaleo into the discard pile early. He's got 2 fire energy in hand now. He won't be able to welder those onto the active just yet, considering this is his first turn, but it is a pretty decent start. Sam already finding himself in a reasonable position. Not a super good one, and Blake just telling him, like, dude, you should probably get rid of this Giant Hearth. Because
I want to play mine from hand.
Yeah, I gotta put mine down. I mean, it is probably correct, but Blake just doing a little bit of hustling on the side there. That's probably unsportsmanlike conduct. We can probably ping him for that, but that's fine. Grabs 2 fire energy and discards them both with quick balls.
What is going on? There opens 3 quick ball. He doesn't even play them all.
Hey man, he's played 2 of them, discarded them. Discarded 1 to find the things to discard with the other 2. Very brave.
That's a pretty big brain strategy right there. So I imagine we're going to be seeing the Zacian here if it's not prized from Blake. He's going for a second Jirachi though, so that makes me think that either he's scared of what could have happened last game and wants to try and play this game without a GX in play, which certainly respectable, but it could make it hard because this is a matchup where you do need to find those big knockouts. Those big 6 energy for 300 damage plays are pretty important in this matchup, so it can be a little hard without the assistance of some of your GX draw options, but hey, double Jirachi is pretty good here. We do actually see him find the Welder off of his first Stellar Wish, and if he's lucky enough, we could even see a turn 1 knockout on this Heatran. I don't expect it to happen, but it could.
It could. I think the Zacian actually is prized. When we looked through it before, I think it probably was. The Welder putting 2 energy onto the Blacephalon on the bench. There's a Mew. There's another Blacephalon. Blake's got all the things he needs. He's got energy plenty in hand, but no way to get this Jirachi out of the active, so he'll just pass the turn and send it through to Sam, who is going to be able to take the first prize in this game. He's got a Welder in hand, and he's got access to Giant Hearth on the field, so he's going to be set and ready to go. Discarding the Pokegear, to find those 2 fire energy, and then Welder will attach them to the Heatran. So this is a pretty solid position to be in.
It's actually an interesting decision for Sam to make this turn where, I mean, according to last game, Sam never actually needed his GX attack, so if he wanted to, he could weld it to the Mewtwo and just use his GX attack on that Heatran to take the 1 energy knockout on that Jirachi, make sure he's got multiple attackers set up, but he's going to opt for the safe play, putting the energy on this Heatran and maybe hoping that it's going to survive a turn, and also, of course, leaving his GX option open for the late game. I don't think his GX attack is too important in this matchup, but hey, in the last game, it could have been the difference, so definitely not a bad idea to keep that option open. Yeah,
exactly. And now Blake going through the motions, Baby Blacephalon grabbing 2 fire energy from the Hearth, then discarding both of them with a Fiery Flint, finds 4 energy. He's going to be able to attach here. And if he can find a way out of the active with this Jirachi, he's very likely to be able to take a knockout on this Heatran and leave Sam with there's a board that's pretty much empty. I mean, he's only going to have a Mewtwo with Psychic Energy on it. There's not a huge amount that you could realistically do with that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I was saying maybe the Welder onto the bench Mewtwo instead and just using the GX attack could have been a slightly safer play, but We do see Blake hitting the switch off of the Stellar Wish there. It's interesting that Blake actually promoted the Jirachi, but I believe he actually top decked the Fiery Flint. Otherwise, he could have just promoted the Blacephalon and get taken the guaranteed knockout. But he's able to top deck the Fiery Flint and find the switch off of the Stellar Wish. So pretty fortunate turn for Blake there, putting a lot of pressure onto Sam, already ahead in the prize trade after just 2 turns. Sam should theoretically be able to take out this Blacephalon, and that might set Blake's board back, especially with this reset stamp where he can't take a return hit KO. But if he does get the 1-hit KO on this Mewtwo, I think the game's almost over.
Yeah, you'd feel like Sam is in a bit of a rough spot. He's got a Cherish Ball here, heading into the discard. He's going to grab a Dedenne with that, which is probably not a bad option. He's going to be able to find some more cards here. His hand's not super weak, but it's not got a Welder in it, and that's the critical thing. He either needs a Welder or a basic Pokemon that he can get some energy onto. So there's the Dedenne, and we'll find ourselves a fresh 6 cards. Looks like we've got ourselves a Mewtwo in that hand, as well as a couple of GXs that can be discarded with Giant Hearth if he hasn't already used it.
Is there a Solgaleo GX in the discard pile? Because I think that's a pretty important card for Sam to have this turn. If he can just go for that Turbo Strike, power up the second Mewtwo on the bench, not only is it the cheapest way to knock out the Blacephalon, but it also kind of gives him an insurance policy just in case Blake does get the 6 energy knockout, so that he can return with the second Mewtwo on the bench without needing Welder. But it all comes down to whether that Solgaleo is in the discard pile. I don't remember it being discarded, but it could be in there.
Yes,
we have to see.
We're looking through right now. There is the Solgaleo, so he will be able to attack with it. And then that is going to accelerate some energy onto the Mewtwo on the bench. So Sam has a couple of powered attackers, and the best thing for Sam here is that Blake is realistically going to need to go through both of them unless he can find that Blacephalon GX.
We see a top deck Welder from Blake.
Yeah, that's a big one there. As we know, if you've seen this channel before, you know Blake is a massive sack. So of course that happens. Of course he just randomly got the Welder to get himself into an attacker again. Unbelievable stuff from Blake. Anyway,
even with the Welder though,
there's not a huge amount he can do here, right? He's got to find the energy anyway.
It's pretty unlikely he gets this knockout on this Mewtwo. He's got a couple cards in hand, and we were just talking about Blake sacking, so who knows? Maybe he'll prove us wrong and take this knockout here. He's got the Heat Factory. That's definitely going to help out a little bit. And I believe as well the Oricorio that has been evading us for this entire set so far is in Blake's deck, and it will allow him to draw an extra 3 cards this turn because Sam did just take a knockout. They're drawing another 3 cards with Welder. If he finds access to something like a Quick Ball, which he does have in hand somehow, even though he used 3 on the first turn, he's
still got one.
That Quick Ball.
Oh, but he doesn't have the Oricorio. Oricorio is in the prizes as well, so that's
the Oricorio and the Zacian in a prize. That's a bit unfortunate.
That's a big shame, but Blake here now at least going to be in a position where, I mean, he's got potential for 5 energy, I think, but I don't think he can do the 6 he needs. Looks like Sam's doing some very vigorous maths on his side of the field there, with his fingers moving around a little bit.
Blake's got 2 fire energy and a fire crystal, but no way out of the active, so he would have to attach the energy from his hand to the Blacephalon. Then he'd only have 4 energy in his hand to attack with Mewtwo, even if he were able to get out of the active with this Jirachi. So it's definitely not going to happen now. But it's pretty crazy to think that if that Oricorio wasn't prized, Blake only needed to draw 2 more fire energy and a switch effect off of a Stellar Wish and 3 cards to take this knockout. And effectively, I want to say lock up the game. It wouldn't be quite over, but once again, when your opponent's down to 1 prize card and they haven't used their GX attack and Blacephalon's in deck, you got to think it's just a matter of time until they eventually find it, right?
Yeah, you'd think so. And Blake being quite intelligent here, he's put the Lucky Egg not on the active Jirachi, which he easily could have done, but instead places it onto the Blacephalon on the bench. Does that so that if Sam does manage to find a Gust, then Blake's going to have more cards to look at to try and find an attack this upcoming turn. Sam here grabbing himself Latios off of a Quick Ball just to thin that one out of the deck. Not required in this particular matchup, but definitely worth removing so that when he does go to draw cards that he actually wants, he's got a chance to get them. Fiery Flint coming in, sorry, not Fiery Flint, Heat Factory coming in big for Sam here. Able to discard his fire energies, and now that Latios onto the bench, and Welder will come through as well. So 2 fire energies being attached to the Latios, which is an interesting choice, but I guess it gives him another attacker if he wants one.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter what attack, what Pokemon he powers up. They're all going to knock out Blacephalon, and they're all going to be knocked out by Blacephalon, most likely. So as long as he's got 2 attackers to go into, that's the only important part here. I'm trying to think, like, where does Sam eventually get those last 4 prize cards from? Because Blake's been very careful this game not to bench any GXs. I think that's partially because most of them are prized, but
yeah, it's not through lack of trying.
It is going to make Sam's path to victory here really awkward, though, because we know Blake's only 2 turns away from winning, whereas Sam is 3 turns away from winning after this turn. So it's going to be on Blake to win or lose this game. He's either going to hit and win, or he's going to miss and lose. But the question is, how many times does Blake have to miss for Sam to come back into this game? And I think it's only once or twice. So it's certainly doable, but Blake's hand is basically all fire energy. I think he's 1 away from getting the knockout, so as long as that giant half stays in play, he should be able to just promote the Blacephalon and take the knockout, as long as there's energy in deck.
Yeah, it's really interesting that Sam opted to put the giant half in play there. There is Zacian, so he's finally come out onto the field and is discarded immediately for the giant half. Yeah, Sam probably
just top deck the Zacian. I mean, it wasn't prized this game.
It mustn't have been prized. It mustn't have been. He must have just chosen not to put it down. Maybe we're the idiots this time.
Maybe.
But hey, I'm very interested to understand why Sam played down that giant half. Obviously, fearing the heat factory, giving Blake the opportunity to get the energy he needs, but he's just actually given Blake the exact amount required to take a knockout on a MewMew. So that's a bit unfortunate. And now Blake, even though he doesn't have a huge amount of cards in his hand, has pretty much only one thing more he needs to find, and that's that Blacephalon GX so that he can burst.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I mean, I guess from Sam's point of view, you don't know what Blake's hand is. He might be relying on that heat factory to draw cards and find what he needs. So I think playing the half down is a respectable strategy. I would usually assume that the heat factory is going to be more useful than the giant half, but in that situation, it was exactly what Blake needed to take the knockout. So it's a bit unfortunate for Sam. He's putting a whole bunch of energy on this Mewtwo, which is interesting to me because, I mean, even a 2-energy Mewtwo can take a knockout on pretty much anything in Blake's deck. So I wonder if Sam's come up with some interesting strategy, some bit of a bigger attack that he can use in this matchup to try and skew the prize trade into his favor. I'm not sure which attack Pokemon he's decided to go with. I know in the past he's played some pretty wacky ones, so I don't know if he's got an interesting strategy in mind, or if he's just putting his energy down for the sake of it, because they got to go somewhere.
Well, they do, that's true, and he could potentially be looking at anything here, maybe even utilising that Naganadel for some snipe damage, presuming here that the thing that Blake needs most is the Blacephalon GX, and the way that he gets that is through Jirachi, so he might opt to target that down if he can, but ultimately you'd think that just removing the attacker is the key, and getting 2 customs off of the Acro Bike, that's very unfortunate, because he's already actually got 2 in hand, so that means now he's only going to be able to gust once. And,
yeah, I was about to say, I think I like the idea of gusting up that Jirachi, because taking out Blake's only access to draw theoretically is a pretty good strategy, and due to that Mew being on Blake's bench, he can't actually use that Naganadel with Venom Shot right now to take out that Jirachi, so definitely a pretty good gust here. But this does open the door for Blake if he just gets something like 2 fire crystals.
The reset stamp, got the reset stamp.
There it is. We saw the Oricorio GX unprized there as well, so that's definitely a big deal for Sam. It is, as I was just saying, it is very possible, since this Blacephalon survived, maybe Blake can just win the game by drawing 2 fire crystals or something like that. We see 1 fire crystal, so a top deck fire crystal would end the game. Although he doesn't have enough that he can draw a card and then giant half away for 2 fire energy. That would only be 5, which is not enough to win the game. So Blake's looking like he's likely to miss on this next turn, but he has to miss twice for Sam to win.
Yeah, exactly. So there has to be a pretty significant couple of turns here for Sam in order to gain victory. Looks like he's going through the motions now. He's going to take the knockout. It's just a matter of which card he chooses to take the knockout with. It's going to be Solgaleo. So we'll accelerate some more energy to the bench, which seems fine by me. And Blake, knowing that he has the Fire Crystal in hand, he might be a bit worried here, being like, okay, well, I guess I just promote the Mew, and sorry, he's going for the Blacephalon here. He's just going to rip it and hope for the best.
I think he may as well, because the Blacephalon is the luckier gun.
Sorry,
so worst case scenario.
Did Blake just top deck a Welder?
Oh, of course he did.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, Blake? Can you stop this, please? Watch him win this turn. Watch him win this
Even
turn.
if he misses, though, he's got the
Unbelievable.
lucky- okay.
Unbelievable. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of him coming on here and slagging people off when he's a massive sack himself. Sorry to cut you off there, Jordan. I'm fired up. That's ridiculous.
I was expecting
Stamped
the
to
lucky
one.
egg.
Oh my god.
I was expecting the lucky egg to be the way that Blake won that game, but nope, he just thought the Welder and wins right now.
Yeah, I'm just sacking whatever. I just win.
Sam had the Lysander Labs as well, so if Blake hadn't sacked there, he probably could have locked Blake out of the game if he was lucky enough.
Oh my goodness gracious me. Thanks, Jordan, for coming along for that. I'm going to go and call Blake.
Seems fair.
I'll catch you in a bit.
See ya.
There we have it. That's the end of our 4th round. Baby Blacephalon getting across the line in some lucky circumstances, you have to say. Thanks very much to Jordan for returning for commentary on this one, as well as to Blake and Sam for being willing to record this game at the tournament. Thank you to you very much for watching. If you like the content and you want to see more of it, you might consider subscribing. Click the button that's just about here. Over here are some videos that you might like, and there's also a bit of a playlist just down here that you can click on as well. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at @thesableeyes_YT, and we'll catch you all next time for more from the Sable Eyes. Bye.